am thoroughly confused. We have um, the president who is anti immigration suggesting the United States brings white, particularly white South African immigrants to the United States in the middle of the most aggressive immigration policy that we've seen in some time. Project 2025 just began a movement removing anti-discrimination legislation in public departments and in people contracted with the United States, meaning the private sector as well. Yet, the federal government, as stated by Associated Press, the U.S. Department has opened a civil rights investigation into the hiring practices of the city of Chicago, according to a letter shared on social media and sent to the Chicago's mayor's office. The probe announcement Monday came a day after Mayor Brandon Johnson spoke at a church to outline his vision for the remaining of his term. During the speech, Johnson praised the number of Black people in his top positions in his administration. The speech garnered immediate attention on social media, including calls from conservatives and others to investigate. The DOJ's Civil Rights Division shared its investigation notice Monday, citing Johnson's comments to the congregation, Sunday, as a trigger for a pattern or practice investigation into whether the city has habitually violated Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, which prohibits discrimination on a basis of race. Now, I didn't hear what he said. Full disclosure, I'm not going to be like a lot of people get on social media and say, just start to bloviate about things you don't know. I don't know what he said, but I am a Black person. I am a Black man in his 50s, and I'm from Chicago. When I am talking about Black people that work for me, I have never mentioned the fact that they're Black. Black is not odd to Black people. Black is odd to white people. So if a Black person gets up there, just like white people don't say, I want to thank all of the good work that the white people that work for me did. Black folks don't say that either. So again, they said that this was triggered by something some conservatives heard, and they passed this on to the DOJ. So again, remember when we were talking about how horrible it is that our country sicks the Department of Justice and the judicial system on people like they did to Trump, and that was not fair? Remember that? Okay, that's number one. Well, actually, that's number two. But number three, didn't we just put forth legislation that said you can discriminate? Did I miss something? Was that not a presidential policy that just came out of the White House, that we did not need DEI, we did not need affirmative action, we did not need the Civil Rights Act of 1964. I'm just saying, Help me if I'm wrong. Please put it in the chat. Please give me an answer. I notice I grew up in Chicago. Mayor Daley's son, even though they did great things for the city of Chicago has been corrupt since Al Capone. And that's not an overstatement. We're talking about Chicago. It's known for being politically corrupt. Harvard is known for doing racist stuff. Some of the worst studies about Black people and poor people and indigenous people have come out of Harvard. But there was no problem with Harvard until they had a Black president. And the only other, I don't want to say that. But when we have a Black male mayor who, from the one article I've read, I saw it on some television things, but the one Black mayor who in the midst at a church was, from what they said, thanking people in his administration who happened to be Black too. Now all of a sudden we went back to anti-discrimination laws. How is it white America can see reverse racism, but not racism? If you can see it reverse, the only way that you can, the word reverse means it's turned around, but you cannot see it in its initial form. You can only see it when it's turned back. And if it's turned back, that means that you're doing it. This is just as odd. All of this is going on right now. So please take notice. Please take notice. Apparently, the president of South Africa came to visit Donald Trump. And Donald Trump was taking him to task about a genocide of white South Africans, where South Africans are taking their land back. The president of the United States, who is the chief executive officer of a nation that stole every bit of the country except for the Louisiana Purchase. They stole it from Native Americans. They stole it from indigenous Africans who were already on this continent that I don't even need to get into that story. And they stole it through the Mexican-American War. Hundreds of millions of acres were taken. And the president of that nation is judging a nation, even if we go by Trump's facts, that they're taking South Africa back by way of a genocide. I'm not for genocide by anybody, right? But if I have a genocide in my country's history that I refuse to acknowledge, because remember, Project 2025 also did a reformation on Black education, on Black history. So they said that stuff makes you feel bad. We don't want to talk about it. But you're going to tell a Black nation that they can't do the same thing you did, that you refuse to reverse. You don't want to do repair for it. You don't want to do reparations. You don't even want to talk. Okay. And Trump professes part of the reason why he's going after Harvard is because they're anti-Semitic, which again, anti-Semitic is the wrong word. Very few Semitic people are Jewish, let alone white Jewish people. Most Semitic people are A, Muslim, B, black. So anti-Jewish. Well, if you're pro-Israel, you should be pro taking your land back by force, because that is how Israel got to be Israel. They say, we own this land before, we're coming back for it, and we will defend it. Now, if you want to call the Palestinian war a genocide or whatever, it is analogous to what is going on in South Africa. Now, that also begs the question, why is the Jewish community not speaking up? Saying, yes, they have the right to do that. That is historically their land, that is historically their continent. And by the way, somebody, if you do know our president or have access to anyone on his staff, please let him know that Africa is a continent. It is not a country. Africa is a continent, not a country. You don't say Africa and other countries. No, Africa is a continent with countries on it, just like the United States is a continent with states on it. You have to understand the difference. Just in North America has the country of Canada, it has country of America, and it has the country of Mexico on it. It's not one thing. But after this reformation on anti-discrimination policy comes out, Elon Musk, who's in the circle of the 2025 stuff, who is a billionaire, like he needs more money. Why did this dude get on the World Wide Web and announce around the world they won't let me do business in South Africa because I'm black? I'm not black. Aren't you part of the group that was saying, let's remove all anti-discrimination? If people want to discriminate, let them. Make this make sense to me. My white brothers and sisters, please make this make sense to me. My MAGA people, make this make sense to me. Because this seems very, very selective. This seems almost ignorant. This is unapologetically lost. At the same time, you are trying to deport Mexican or Latino people. You're bringing in specifically white immigrants. That's what you're trying to sell to the people. At the same time, you're saying we're removing DEI. The number 2 man in the country is saying, hey, they won't let me in because they don't want a diverse, equal, and inclusionary business community. That's what DEI is. And we have MAGA not saying, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. We don't have Democrats saying, hey, wait a minute, that don't make sense. Where are these communities? Again, I got to bring it up, Jewish community. When Kyrie said something, Kyrie Irving tweeted about a movie Amazon sells. He just tweeted the title of the movie. That man lost millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars, because the Jewish community put the pressure on the NBA to put him out of the league. got suspended from New Jersey Nets. They didn't sue Amazon, who's selling the movie. He didn't produce the movie. He just tweeted the name of it. If you had that kind of energy, where they created this long list of stuff that he had to do before he could go back to work on his job. Look it up if you don't believe me. It was like 13 things he had to do by this Jewish leader before they were okay. And Farrakhan said, okay, as an elder, if you want him to meet with you to be sensitized, let me come with it. All of a sudden, all that went away. And then the young man who does Wildin' Out, that used to be married to Mariah Carey, he made a historical statement that may or may not have been accurate, but he had, he was called by Jewish leadership to be corrected, and the things that he had to do to make amends or his livelihood was to be challenged. And obviously, Kyrie Irving has some type of problems. I'm not a medical person. I don't want to say what it is or isn't. Okay. But that being the case, what I found beyond a lot of troubling statements he made was what he said happened. He said, if I speak out about X, Y, and Z, this is what this community is going to try to do to me. And within a week, that is exactly what that community tried to do to him. They proved his point. But the point that I'm making now about these particular Black gentlemen and the response that they got from the Jewish community when they did something the Jewish community didn't like, and how the Jewish community responded on a big scale. Don't just respond when it's something Black folks do that you don't like. Respond for righteousness. If you are responding when Black folks do something that's jacked up and you're responding out of righteousness and not racism, then respond. But this is a case of an African Israel. The South Africans were colonized by Europeans. They were put under an apartheid state. And apparently now they have gotten organized as to where they're defending themselves, which is what Jewish people have been saying is what's going on in Israel. We are a Jewish state. We are surrounded by Arab nations who are aggressive toward Jewish people historically. I don't have a problem with that. And we are defending ourselves. Okay. Why is that not the same thing with the South Africans? We should be hearing from the Jewish state. And I'm saying, if you're going to be quiet on the South African thing, be quiet on the Kyrie Irving thing. Be quiet on the Mariah Carey's ex-husband thing. Be quiet on the Yeezy thing. What about the things that align with Semitism? Why is it just the anti-Semitism we're upset about? So I need to understand how in the midst, thank you too, grateful. How in the midst of this 2025 Reformation, the leadership is doing opposite of their own reform. We're removing anti-discrimination laws. But just so happened, the black mayor of a major city, oh, you can't discriminate. We are for free market, free business. Except in South Africa, you all should have diversity, equity, and inclusion and let Elon in there. We don't want DEI. At some point, we have to point out our own hypocrisy.